Well, Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets have been eliminated from the postseason, and yeah, man, what a game 7 that was between the Nets and the Bucks. So, look, I'm gonna go ahead and feed into this narrative for a couple minutes here. I'm gonna play into this game. All I seen online over the weekend was LeBron fans arguing with Durant fans. LeBron fans feeling like LeBron haters or LeBron naysayers, whatever you want to call them. They feeling like, yo, when LeBron does this and loses, the world just ended, right? But when Kevin Durant drops 48 points, but his team loses, it's not the same energy. It's almost like Kevin Durant deserves a pity party because guys like James Harden were unavailable, Kyrie Irving were unavailable. But when LeBron had to get it done without the same Kyrie Irving, and then Kevin Love was out in the 2015 finals, the energy wasn't the same. So I'm going to play into this because I really don't believe this is a talking point for today. But let's play into it for a couple minutes, right? Because I do think the LeBron fans have a point. But I'm going to also argue the other side of it as well for the non-LeBron fans. What I want to say is this. LeBron fans, you're right in this regard. When LeBron is great, I'm talking about when he's by himself out there, nobody makes excuses for LeBron. Like, it's all about LeBron should get it done. What I think you LeBron fans are missing, though, is y'all looking at that as an insult. No. That's a compliment. That means that the LeBron naysayers know he's a top 10, top 5, maybe even top 2. A lot of y'all got him as y'all number 1 of all time. They know it. Because when they don't hold Durant to that same standard, they're telling you all you need to know. When they don't hold Giannis to that standard, when they don't hold Kawhi to that standard, they're telling you all you need to know. They don't believe Durant could get it done like LeBron can. They don't. And for those people who now look at Durant as somehow all-time over LeBron, you don't need to be arguing with those people anyway. Look, LeBron has been the best player like probably 9 out of the last 10, 11 years. For me, Durant has just become the best player. But he's got like 7, 8 more years to go to even get close in my world to LeBron in that greatest of all time conversation. For me, when I see a KD not be able to get past the second round in the East, it just tells me he's not one of those 3, 4, 5, 7 guys all time that's been able to do that. Nothing's wrong with that. He's just not of that. Yo, can he be the best player in the world today, but still nowhere near some of the all-time greats? Both those things can be true, and I think they're both true in this situation. Like, Durant's just not the guy that could get it done without having a good amount of help. Many would argue a great amount of help. Because when the Nets lost to the Bucks in Game 7, I looked on the court and I still saw one of the top 5 shooters in the world in Joe Harris. Joe Harris is a hell of a lot better than Matthew Dellavedova. He makes a lot more money than Dellavedova made in his career right now in 1 year. Right? I'm looking at guys like Jeff Green, proven vets. I like Nicholas Claxton a lot. The Nets got some hoopers, and Harden was out there. I don't know how much of himself he was, but he was out there. So I understand that part of it. LeBron fans, y'all got a right to say, hey, yo, when it's LeBron, y'all don't ever keep that same energy. But I want to argue this to the LeBron fans as well. And I want to play the role of naysayer real quick. I think why fans of Durant or people that just are anti-LeBron, I think one reason why they're not as hard on LeBron, on Durant today as they are LeBron is, look at the way KD went out. Like, none of us feel like Durant had anything left in the tank. Now, many would argue that means he doesn't have as much in the tank to begin with versus LeBron. I'll give you that. I think you're right about that. I think LeBron's a better player all time. I don't know how many times I got to say that. But for this game, for that series, I felt like Durant gave me everything he had. Oftentimes when LeBron loses, I know he's great. I know he's incredible. That's why he's one of my top 3 players of all time. But I still sometimes feel like there's something to be desired, especially late in games. Durant did 2 things that I like to see my top players do. He took the game tying. He actually wanted to win that bad boy in regulation. If his foot would have been a little smaller, he would have won it. He took that shot down 2 in regulation. that we've often seen LeBron pass. Sometimes he takes, a lot of times he's passed. And then in overtime, Durant took that shot again. I'm going to ask all the LeBron fans out there this. Do y'all believe LeBron would have took the game-tying or go-ahead shot in regulation and OT? Now, Durant made it in regulation and missed it in OT. Do y'all believe LeBron would have took both? Because I don't. I think he probably would have took one, and the other he would have passed it in the corner to Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, somebody, historically speaking, right? So I think that's part of – I personally like losing with my best players. Like, I don't want to see LeBron passing to Kyle Korver. I don't care how good of a shooter he is. Durant had Joe Harris on the court. I don't want to see Durant passing it to Joe Harris in that moment. I don't want to see Durant passing to anybody. He's Durant. I want to lose with my best player. If I lose, I want to say, look, my guy had a shot to win it. Brooklyn's not, I'm sure Brooklyn's not happy that they lost, but I'm sure Nets fan went home that night saying, look, my guy had the rock with a chance to win the game. That's all we can ask for. That's all you can ask for. And in regards to LeBron, I think he sometimes leaves something to be desired on the table. So I've been able to argue both sides of the spectrum for LeBron lovers and naysayers. I think both sides have an argument. But I really don't think Game 7 is about KD, and it should, for damn sure, shouldn't be about LeBron, who wasn't even in the second round. I think that Game 7 between the Nets and Bucks was about another guy. And I hate to do this. Kyrie Irving was great this season. The regular season, when he played, he was great. But once again, an injury has cut his season short. Again. It happened in 2015. We already brought that up. You know, apparently, Kyrie quit on the Cavs in 2017, but I'll leave that one alone. They got their butts kicked by the Warriors. We get to Boston, 2018 season. Kyrie Irving and the Celtics, they pick up some ground. They're pretty darn good in the regular season. Kyrie's out with not one, but two injuries. It's not the fact that Kyrie was out with injuries. It's the fact that he wasn't even available to sit on the bench with his team as the Celtics took on LeBron and the Cavs in a Game 7 situation. That always bothered me. I mean, who knew the Cavs better than Kyrie did? That was his first year away from the team. You mean to tell me, and apparently it was because he got some dental surgery done, you couldn't sit on that bench and cheer on a young Jason Tatum, a young Jaylen Brown, at the time, Marcus Morris and company, Marcus Smart. You couldn't be there for him? I felt like Kyrie Irving felt that team as a leader. Then you turn around and say, I finally understand what LeBron was talking about when he was trying to mentor me when I was younger. And then you tell the Celtics fans, I'll be here long term if y'all will have me. The Celtics season, the second time around, y'all forgot about that when Giannis and the Bucks destroyed that Boston team the 2019 season. Then you leave. After saying you'll be around long term, you leave, but it's your right. Brooklyn last year, Kyrie was hurt. By the way, that Brooklyn team the year prior with D'Angelo Russell as their starting point guard, they got to the playoffs and gave Philly all they could ask for in the playoffs. That happened with D'Angelo Russell as their guy. Kyrie gets into town, 2020 season. He's hurt for most of it. He comes back, and he throws everybody under the bus. He says most of these guys aren't even going to be here next year. So he shuts it down for the remainder of that season, and COVID obviously happens. We kick it back up in the 2021 season with Durant back. Durant balls out, start the season out. The Nets are 500, around that. Kyrie randomly quits on his team at the beginning of the season because of the Capitol being stormed with a riot. It was a terrible moment in American history, but I don't understand why Kyrie thought it was in his best interest to just stop playing basketball. He just stopped going to work. What the hell? He quit on the team. That forced the Nets to go get James Harden. It was like, we are not doing this with you. And it sucked because Kyrie was having a career. This is the best Kyrie's ever looked at me. And who's to say as Durant wound down in the playoffs, who's to say Durant wouldn't have been able to be better? And Durant obviously went through some injuries himself in the regular season. Who's to say Durant wouldn't have been able to rest more had Kyrie not missed 17 games in a row? And then he had his own share of injuries. And also Harden had injuries. And then Durant had injuries. Like, bro, Kai, as great as you were this season, you still let your team down again. Like, everybody deals with injuries. Obviously, we know this season had a bunch of them. But you always injure, bro. You always got 2 or 3. It's never just a clear season with you. You get to the playoffs. Y'all finally make it there. And by the way, y'all weren't the 1 seed, which, you know, looking back on it, y'all would have avoided the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round had y'all been able to take care of business. Y'all were close to Philly in the standings, meaning had you not missed 2 weeks of the season randomly, maybe y'all have a better record than the Sixers, and y'all second round matchup is the Atlanta Hawks and not the Milwaukee Bucks. Y'all let Philly deal with Giannis in the second round. And then you see what happens. Injuries are a part of the game. Who's to say somebody doesn't get injured with the Bucks in the second round? Or who's to say, you know, you guys are not healthy or whatever. Things happen the way they happen. Again, Kyrie Irving let his team down. Again, injuries part of the game. I get it. But this is another year. More than half this man's career to me has been with me thinking, damn, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Had Kai been able to stay healthy. Had Kai not stopped playing because of riots and protests. Had Kai not quit on his team. This is a reoccurring trend. If Kyrie Irving is healthy, y'all know I picked the Bucks in 6 to beat the Nets. If Kyrie Irving was healthy, the way him and KD were playing after games 1 and 2, the Bucks maybe get a game. That's it. The fact that another year ends with Kyrie Irving on the bench and not on the court in his you know, his street clothes, man, that's a disappointing season for Brooklyn. Gotta feel like, damn, man, if only Kyrie was there.